Good afternoon, everybody. It's Joseph Bradley, and this is the 9th video in the series. Now, I talked a lot about Peru and the trip to Peru that I went on and how I got to the Yukon. Let me talk a little more about how my journey started. I drove to the caverns in Kentucky, and I met a lady, an older lady, that was kind of quite relevant because she started to really talk to me about how you change and move energy, especially light energy, and how we can interconnect to everybody. And so this lady that we came there started talking to me, and we talked quite in depth about how to move energy around and how that everything is connected together and how you can actually send energy to other people. So it got me to really start practicing that. And that's before I went to Peru. And when I went to Peru, I actually did a couple of ceremonies which started to get me to really understand journeying, because it kind of when the ceremonies happen, you're kind of go into a journey state, and the medicines they use there generally help you go into that state. I'm not saying you have to use any type of ceremonial drugs to do that, but in some cases it does help. It didn't make me go into journeys afterwards, it just I did journeys while I was there. So from there, I did a First Nation friend of mine again showed me what you took tobacco and sage, and you put it in a full moon. You allow the full moon sunlight to hit it the full night, and then you drink it. And then you have a question you want answered. So I tried that, and in the Yukon, it's very difficult to get a full moon without it being cold. So I did my best, and it happened to be the right time of the year, which is the fall. And it was a short time, but it was as long as it needed to be, and you had to get it before the sunlight hit it, because it just had to be moon energy. So I drank that, and I don't know if you know a lot about ceremonies, but certain ceremonies make you get sick. Like if you go to Peru, you're going to do ceremonies, you're going to throw up. It's just part of the process. Maybe if you're perfectly balanced and never have to let anything go with inside yourself, you might not. But it's pretty a common occurrence, and it actually is a good thing because it releases all that negativity that you're holding on to out. So what I did is I did this thing, I did this journey, and when I went to sleep, I had a very, very, very powerful journey state, dream. And that again was opening up a lot of things. I may as well talk to you a little about it because it was very interesting. First I was driving a car, and I'm driving down a car, and there's a woman beside me, and she's talking about how she was upset that we took the wolves out of the wild and made them our slaves. And she used slaves. It's a very different analogy. And she wasn't very happy about it. That how dare we take a wild animal and make it do whatever we want, make it our slaves. And because we take away the parts of the animal that are natural and replace it with commands that make them do with what we want. So technically they are like a slave. And so I'm out of the car now, and now she's talking to me in all around me. So it's just her voice, and I become a wolf, and I'm running into the woods, and then I look up and I see some eagles. So I run like really, really fast and jump into the air and become an eagle and fly up to the eagle. And I start going around this big tree, and there's a massive nest. And I reach the nest, and it feels like things are starting to close in on me. So I decide to burst up through the nest. And I burst up through the nest, I go into a different dimension. I burst up through the nest and end up flying straight up into the sky, really high. And then I started flying down towards an old farmhouse, or an old building of some sort in open fields. As I'm doing that, I notice my hands in front of me. I see my hands, and they're gold light shimmering off them. And it was so fast and so exhilarating, so powerful. and that's all I experienced. But that was a very powerful journey. Now, I had this thing in my head that I over and over, and my guides were trying to communicate with me. So I try going, I'm talking to different people. So I had this thing in my head, I had to do this kind of like a talisman and a walking stick. So I found a walking stick in Dempster Highway, 3/4 way up a mountain. It's a whole tree, but it's only like 3.5 feet, 4 feet long. And it has the two roots, which are the handles, and the shaft itself is quite short. These trees are very, very old, but this tree has been dead for a long time and had a big, thick piece of gray, kind of weathered look to it all around it. So I have no idea how old it is. It could be 1,000 years old. I have no idea, because this area does not get a lot of rain either. So I ended up taking it, and it was unglaciated, by the way, during the first ice age. There was no glaciers went through that area. So I took that tree and I grinded it all the old wood off it until I got to the white wood underneath. And it ended up being a very beautiful walking stick. And then I had these crystals I bought all over the world, and I made a talisman out of them. And I created this talisman and designed it in Photoshop, did whatever, and then I ended up getting a guy to build it. After I did that, while I was doing that, I talked to the girl who was basically sending me the people I needed to build the talisman. And she told me about a shaman. So I went to the shaman, and they basically, all they said to me is, when you're in that space, because I used to go to a space inside my mind and just walk through it. I was having a lot of fun just exploring this space. And all she basically said, with intention, you have to go, say you want to go see your guides, so you say you want to see your spirit guides, and you walk through a doorway, you walk under the roots of a tree into a cave, through some type of doorway, through a doorway of water, of light, it doesn't really matter. It's some form of doorway. So I did that, and my journey has exploded. I literally, after that, did one journey after another, and I exploded. I can't explain how powerful and how quickly my life changed with this. So I had probably two journeys of, it was hard to see, there's no sound, and then it went into, oh, I can hear now, and now I could speak to them. Now I could hear what they were saying, but the first two I couldn't. I could just see. And then my journeys got brighter and brighter and brighter, and I start to see more and more and more. I seen one of my guides, which was a very beautiful woman and very, very regal, angelic woman, that started to teach me a lot. And then I had other ones that taught me, and they basically taught me a lot of stuff. Taught me how to transfer, how to expand energy, how to amplify energy, how to do, and it was just one journey after another journey. They had me doing all kinds of activations of the world, activating massive crystals within the earth, pulling up ancient structures and filling them full of love to reactivate them. The only way I can actually activate these things is by sending love energy into them. And I did this for years and years, exploring myself and exploring the universe through journeying and helping people and helping the world. And nobody ever really known I was doing anything. So that comes down to, does it really matter if anybody really knows? And I guess it really doesn't. Because there's a ton of people just like me that's done all kinds of things that nobody ever really even knows about. How many people are like that out there? How many people give up things, do things to help the world? I hope there's lots of you out there. I spent most of my life helping people without them even realizing it, in different formats, in different ways. So this is why I'm doing this, to continue that work. So my journey started off with no sound. But I think they really started when I started to work with light. And when God spun me that time, really showed me something extremely powerful. They showed me an ability that I had, that I've used in many, many, many journeys, is to spin, to pull energy through me, to transform it into the light. And remember, the energy going through you is from God, from the universal energy. It's not your own energy. It's very important you know that. You don't use your own life energy unless you believe it's completely and utterly never be able to drain. It's infinite. But most of us don't believe in that. So you have to get to that level before you can do it that way. Well, God showed me a few times that, well, how he showed me was to give me something to place in my heart that would be never run out of energy. But what he was really telling me is that our energy never runs out. We can't deplete our spiritual energy. We can't deplete love. It only can grow and expand. It never runs out. Ever. And when you start to understand that, you know, your love, your energy within your heart never runs out, you're never going to deplete your energy. Now, it's different to be tired. It's different that your mind gets tired. But that's a physical weakness we have in human beings, is that we feel like we need to get tired. So we get tired. But it's also being human, right? Like, we don't have the ability to override that, or do we? We probably do, but we just forget how to. There's some people out there that are able to overcome this in different stages, different parts, but not 100% totally. Because I've been told, and it was quite obvious and quite straightforward, that nobody is awake. Because if you were awake, you would be a celestial being. You'd be able to walk through walls, you'd be able to transform energies, you'd be able to come and go as you please, you'd be able to teleport, you'd be able to manipulate matter. We don't do that yet. I say yet because that is kind of what they're saying, that someday, if human beings continue to raise their vibration, we will be able to get to that level. And that's kind of what this whole physical experience is about, is to give us the knowledge of being physical, to watch creation grow 1 millisecond at a time. So, because when we create instantaneously in the spiritual world. But in the physical world, we have to. We are watching creation happen at a slow pace. Which, as you really think about it, is quite beautiful. To be able to grow something, plant it into the ground and watch it grow from a seed to a tree. And how long that takes. In the spirit realm, just do that and it's there. You get a full-grown tree, any way you want it, any color, any shape, any form, any size. But in the physical body, we don't really have the ability to do that yet. But they're telling us we do. They're telling us that we are doing this so we will have the ability to someday to be able to live physical reality and leave whenever we want. Stay in it for 100 years, 1,000 years, and leave whenever we want. Come back. Live a fantasy world. Live a scientific world. Live in a medieval world. Live a life of just at peace with you, a loved one, with your family, anywhere in the universe, at any time. Never have to worry about somebody coming and causing you harm. If somebody comes, you leave. This is what they're saying, that what really ascension means is when all humans, almost all humans, have to raise the vibration in order for everyone to ascend. We have to send the world, so we need to send ourselves, every one of us, including Mother Earth. We have to take all those parts of ourselves and bring them back into balance before the vibration of the Mother Earth will be high enough that it will transcend when we'll go transcend with it. That's the only way that we can ascend, is to ascend together as a family. Ascension, all of us together as one family. Thank you very much. I'm Joseph Bradley from Amun-Ra Awakening. If you wish to do a session with me, you can go visit my website at www.amunraawakening.com. You could visit my Northern Lights page at www.josephbradleyauroras.com. Thank you very much, and have a great day.